Now back to the show. This is The Law Show on CL 650.
Not only I Fought the Law, but the Clash version of I Fought the Law. What a great song. It's The Law Show on CIL 650. Sterling Fox joined in studio by Joe Murphy, QC, and John Cameron, lawyer with Murphy Batista, LLP. Mr. Murphy is one of the founding partners. John's the new kid on the block, although you've been in the office for close to 10 years, now just formally having joined the firm. We're going to talk in this segment of The Law Show, where the whole show is devoted, as it was last month, to insurance. And the reason we have lawyers talking about insurance is because, well, Joe, and this is when we're going to talk about life insurance. Now, this is where a lot of people are going, wait a second, life insurance and lawyers. Now, how does that happen? Because the person who would be the object of the life insurance, well, is no longer with us. So how would a personal injury law firm get involved in a life insurance case?
Sterling, our clients in a life insurance cases is the family that comes to us after the death.
Oh, okay.
And after the insurance company says we're not going to pay.
Oh, so some dispute over the
Yes.
terms of the insurance?
Yes, in most cases people file the papers and the life insurance company writes the check and that's the end of it. But in the cases where they won't pay, that's the clients who walk in the door and say, we need your help.
Does this happen, and I know I hesitate to ask in number terms, but what percentage of claims in life insurance don't get resolved except with the assistance of lawyers? A little push.
I think it's the rare claim where
it
the
is.
family
Okay.
doesn't get paid the amount of the policy.
Okay. So how important then, John,
Yes.
is life insurance?
Well, I think that depends a lot on whether you have people who are dependent on you. If you were not to be around anymore, do you have children, young children that would need to carry on with their lives and go to school, and family members relying on your income? For some people, as they get older and the kids have grown up, it might not be any purpose. If you're only worried about it for yourself, as they say, you can't take it with you.
Right, sure.
So
Right.
It's not going to do much for you. It's really a kind of thing we want to have a personalized assessment of what your purpose is for getting life insurance and what your plan is and who is it benefiting. And the best example, of course, is for young families, young couples getting started with kids. Of course, they should have life insurance.
Right. Well, John points out young families, and Joe, I think I mentioned this to you in the past, life insurance didn't even hit my radar screen until I was about 30, and our first child, our daughter, was born, and all of a sudden, oh my gosh, I'm suddenly a dad. I'm responsible for this little pink person, and I'd better organize my life, and insurance became a big priority in a big hurry.
Yeah.
That's sort of the way things get started, typically, isn't it?
Yeah, usually it's the arrival of children
Yes.
that make people realize, listen, I've got to support this kid for the next 20 or 25 years, and if I die tomorrow, there should be money to do that.
Right.
So that's the incentive that gets people looking at life insurance.
How about, though, as John suggests, once the kids grow up, move out, the bills get all resolved somehow, you downsize, the urgency to have available funds in the event of your death isn't as acute. Perhaps it almost isn't at all. How important is it to carry on with life insurance at that point anyway?
That becomes more a business decision than a family decision.
Okay.
So if I'm 60 years old and I've got prostate cancer and I've got a policy, I'm going to renew that policy thinking this is probably a good idea for me to do this, and I'll
Absolutely.
pay the premium. But if your dependents are gone, if your family's not reliant on your income, then the need for life insurance is far less and far different.
And it becomes a matter then of inheritance almost. Do I want some kind of legacy money to be passed on? That becomes a priority then, doesn't it?
Yeah, life insurance can be used to fund things when the person dies. And again, it's sort of an investment vehicle as opposed to this need to support the family. It's a different reason, but it's still valid, and life insurance can be very valuable in taking care of situations like that.
There are two types of life insurance that I'm aware of. And Joe, one is term insurance, which most of us buy because it's cheaper. And then there's whole life, which I was offered as a young dad because it was presented to me as not only insurance coverage for my little family, but also an excellent investment opportunity that would pay off, 30, 40 years later. What's the difference, though, between whole life and term life?
Term life, Sterling, is a policy that you buy for a fixed period of time, let's say 25 years.
Okay.
Let's say the coverage is $500,000, and you make premium payments that may be level or they may go up every 5 years. And at the end of the 25 years, if you're still alive, the policy's finished. You don't get your money back.
There's no residual cash.
The good news is you're still
You're
alive.
still alive, exactly.
Whereas with the whole life policy, you commit to make payments for 20 or 25 years, and the benefits continue for the balance of your life, and you're assured of getting paid when you die. But the difference is if I'm 28 years old and I've got a wife and 1 or 2 children, and I can afford to spend $1,500 a year on insurance, I'm going to buy term insurance that might give my family $1 million coverage.
Sure.
As opposed to whole life for that same premium that might provide $150,000
Right.
coverage. So whole life is a kind of long-term investment.
Yes.
Whereas term life insurance is designed to provide for your family for 15, 20, 25 years, with the understanding that at 25 years your kids are grown and gone. They're on their own. They've
Now,
hopefully. Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
Hopefully,
although
yeah.
Some of them have been known to return, you know.
Oh, I know.
So I wanted to ask about these targeting seniors or Canadians of retirement age, 50-plus Canadians. There are now there's a whole other insurance level going on, and it's very much on TV and in magazines. The whole point of the whole pitch of this type of insurance, John, is that you don't have to, there's no medical required. You don't need to go to your doctor and submit massive amounts of forms. Just go to our website or call us and answer a half a dozen simple questions. And if you pass or answer correctly, we'll cover you beginning tomorrow. Your premiums will never go up. You start at this level, and that's where you're going to stay. And as long as you continue to pay your premiums, you're covered. Now, the amount isn't for very much, but for a lot of people, they're looking for insurance basically to take care of the funeral and the party, and that's good.
Yes.
Is that a legit type of insurance?
I suppose like any type of insurance, it's a balancing of the cost you pay for it versus what you're going to get back.
Right.
In the event of it. But the issue is, I don't think any insurance company is ever going to get to a stage where it's as simple as it sounds. It does sound fantastic.
Oh, I know.
My instincts as a lawyer and as a former policeman tell me that when you call up to answer those questions, there will be questions in there that you are going to have to be very careful to answer them exactly, honestly. They call it insurance contract is a contract of utmost good faith.
Right.
Because if they can find some way you didn't tell them, you forgot to mention about your high blood pressure that runs in the family and that you have that and you're on 2 different medications, when the time comes, you might find yourself needing someone like Joe Murphy to help you argue that they should be paying out your policy. Your family at least would have to argue that. Because that's the big issue in life insurance policies and other types of insurance, is disclosing truthfully whatever you might have on your medical plate.
Words worth their weight in gold, Joe. Full disclosure really matters, doesn't it?
Exactly. Sterling, in a classic example of the people that come in the door because they've got problems collecting is a family where the insurance person they dealt with came to them or they met with them, and it's the insurance agent who's filling out this long medical check sheet.
Right.
And one of the questions might be, have you ever had high blood pressure? And the fellow might say, well, 10, 15 years ago, I was treated for that, and it seemed to have cleared up.
Right.
And the agent will think, well, I'm just going to put no. So the information from the fellow being insured was accurate, and the way the form was completed was not.
Right.
And after the death, the insurance company, if they look at it, will look at the medical records and say, well, look, high blood pressure, 15 years earlier, wasn't disclosed, we're not paying.
Right.
So there's a bit of a dilemma with the insurance agent who's got to be so careful at asking the questions exactly the way it's worded.
So what happens, though? Sorry, Joe, but what happens if you responded positively to the question the insurance agent asked you? And I know one of your colleagues, I can't remember his name, but one of your colleagues, young dad, got his life insurance policy for his little girl, and when he sat down with his insurance broker, had the clipboard and all those boxes to check off, and the question was, in this particular instance, are you a smoker? And he said no. And so the box got checked. Now, he's a lawyer like you two. So when he was asked to sign the form after all the questions had been asked, he read the questions, and the box that was ticked off was not, are you a smoker? No. The question actually was, have you ever been a smoker? And he had. Who didn't in their college days smoke something? and so he actually had to get the broker to redo the form.
Yeah.
But that's so what happens in that case if the broker asks the question incorrectly that you respond to that gets the wrong box ticked off, Joe? That's not your fault.
Then you've got the problem of suing the insurance company and suing the broker and being able to prove what was asked and what was said.
And then it's a he said argument that you stand a 50% chance of winning.
It can be.
Okay, so that's pretty dodgy, but I think from both of you I'm gathering that not only when it comes to life insurance or homeowners insurance, or as you said, John, filling out any kind of insurance form requires full disclosure. Do not fudge on an insurance application of any kind.
And you need to read over the forms before you sign them, because if someone else has filled this out for you, they may have taken you saying I don't smoke now,
right,
with meaning I've never smoked.
So that's another good one. You see, now most of us wouldn't. If you sit down and you play 20 questions with your insurance broker and you got it, come on, it's my lunch hour. I got to get out of here. And so where do I sign? Great, bye, thanks, okay, put it in the mail, I'll see you. I'll send you a check, and off you go. And you don't have a chance to review those details. So you're suggesting, hello, it's your insurance policy. Take the time. Don't sign anything until you actually review it and go, I didn't say that. Why is this box checked? Well, it's because I asked you. No, I did not say that. I can't sign this. And so many of us, Joe, could care less. Where do I sign? Let me out of here. And that's it.
Yeah. We're used to scrolling down on a computer and saying, I agree with
I
all
agree.
these terms.
I accept.
And then you hit continue.
That's
button,
right.
Continue button.
And this is the print version of exactly that. Accept and continue.
Yeah.
But there's always, John, take the time.
Yes. I mean, there's some things where it's very standardized and it's okay to sign it. But anything where you have been asked questions and this is now supposed to be your statement of your words, whether it's ticked off boxes or whether you're being asked to read over a typed statement that's supposed to, and you're going to sign it.
Right.
Take the time, because that's going to come back to you later. That it was your words. We just wrote them down here.
That's right. Yeah, you made the statement.
Yeah.
We simply entered them onto a piece of paper,
and then you signed it.
off. So I'm afraid that in court, this is going to stand up. And then, so have you encountered cases where a person signed off on something unsuspecting, and can it be reversed, Joe?
Well, it can.
Because wait a second, that's your signature,
if you can
isn't it?
show that the information that was provided was accurate, and either the question wasn't phrased properly or the information, the answer wasn't recorded properly.
Right.
Then you can do that, but you have to have evidence of that, and that's difficult to prove if the key person there is now dead.
Right. And when it comes to life insurance, particularly life insurance, many of them come with medical requests for information. And some of those forms, my gosh, they go on for days.
Yeah.
And so, they ask embarrassing personal questions. And a lot of times you go, that's none of your blinking business. I'm not answering that one. And, of course, they won't give you insurance unless you answer. So however embarrassing it may be, Joe, regardless of that factor, always respond truthfully.
Yes, and completely.
Okay.
Fully.
Full disclosure. That's the name of the game. Are we good with life insurance, gentlemen? Any other tips or hints?
The only other thing I'd want to point out, Sterling, is life insurance policies provide coverage for suicide if the suicide happens more than 2 years after the policy was purchased.
Isn't that interesting? That's an industry thing, so people don't go out and buy a huge insurance policy and jump off a bridge. I guess that's the idea.
You have to wait 2 years to jump off the bridge before there's going to be coverage.
Did not know that. Interesting stuff.
There are life insurance policies that provide benefits for accidental death. I've always found that ironic that someone who's dead wins the lottery and gets double the money. But that seems to be a marketing feature of those policies.
But then that's the beneficiary that eventually flows.
And you look at how accidental death is defined, because it's a small print that usually is a stumbling block in these cases.
Okay, well, and that leads us to disability insurance, because not all of those situations end up with death. And in fact, many situations end up where a person is simply incapable of providing for themselves, and hopefully that person has disability insurance. We'll talk about what it's all about, disability insurance, and how to, well, make it work for you with our guests from Murphy Batista LLP. Joe Murphy QC and John Cameron are with us in studio. It's The Law Show here on CIL 650. Nice to have you with us. We'll be back with more after this.
There's more of the show still ahead. This is The Law Show on CIL 650.